So the intention today is to finish this case and move on to Trials and Tribulations. Is that the second game? No, Justice for All is the second game. My mistake. I'm just dumb. Continue. February 24th, 9:41 AM, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. Damn it, I'm trying to bring up my lunchbox list. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. I don't think that was the correct thing to be on, god damn it. I'm all over the place. Why not, I? We will get there eventually. Unfortunately not today by the looks of it, for fuck's sake. Give me the lunchbox list. One investigation, day 2 trial. Day 3 investigation. Okay, so there's another investigation day. God damn it. No, I will finish this today. Fuck that. And a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Oh no! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So, how did it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? Oh, that's not good. What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind this simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. So she's gonna tell them she did it, but she doesn't know how it was done at 2 different places, so how can she do that? And by doing whatever she's doing, they're not gonna give her the death penalty? That's a bitter. But Lana, don't tell me you. Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Sky. We found traces of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Bloodstained fingerprints, to be exact. Uh-oh. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall. We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Really? She was all about taking the blame before. And now she's like, well, if you've got to accuse him, you've got to accuse him. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. And the defense is ready, and so is the prosecution. Oh no. The prosecution is, I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties is prosecuting impartial evidence, and I think I know how it happened. Anyway. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait? I can't pronounce words. Very well, let's resume the trial. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Stuff. All manner of stuff, bro. Sleep. Laptop sleep. Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. Meekins. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Yes. Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Great. I really hate the way this character fucking talks. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir, I'm Officer Mike... Great start! I'm Officer Mike... I can't say it! I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. Damn alliteration. Yeah. So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sweet. Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You've got to believe me, sir. Actually, we'd like to hear from you. Sir, I'm what you would call a part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me, sir. Officer Meekins? Yes, sir? Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I'm part of the generation that must be told what to do, sir. You can't fault him for lack of enthusiasm. Yeah, but I hate it. I just feel like when he's saying this shit, he'd be saying it really fast. And I'm trying to read it fast, and I can't. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to the guard room where the evidence said... No, slow down. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you. Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted, and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. No, they enjoyed slapping the shit out of him. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. Do I have to? What I need here is more info to work with. Yeah, I'm gonna need to press him on a couple of things. I'll just press them on everything, because that saves me pressing random things and then having to go back later, press something else, and then find out that I had to press that thing first to get the other thing to work. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm not shouting anymore. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes, now that's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, sir, the lovely police mascot created by Chief of Detectives, sir. This horrifying piece of shit. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very, important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why he went into the evidence room. No, he said he was guarding it. I'm confused. He said he was watching the evidence room, but he was also guarding the Blue Badger. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? And he went in there because he saw someone suspicious. I'm confused. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is. I found it. This is the right one here. Could you please read us the number? Oh god, yes sir. It's 4989596. That's my number, sir. I thought we'd figured out more of the numbers than that. I see. Huh? The number 4989596. Can we not just say, but that number is shown as being used twice? Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room at 4:50. And the second time is when I went to go get him after everything had settled down at 5:14. I see. So it was during that second time when... I'm confused! He was already there and he saw someone suspicious on the camera, so that's why he went in. Why does he need another reason to go in there? Yes, sir, that's when I spotted the man on the security screen. Yay. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. Blah 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 blah. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir. A knife! Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him like an octopus. For fuck's sake. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by the collar. I fought for my life, then I... What exactly do you mean when you said you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into Kung Fu films, sir. Yeah, being into Kung Fu films and knowing Kung Fu are two different things, dude. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. Oh, okay. You took his knife. I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. Okay. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood. And then... Did you grab the sharp end of the knife? Did you grab the sharp end of the knife, dude? The next thing I knew... Yes. He punched me right in my face, sir. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. Well, what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain. That's nice. I mean, nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? The Blue Badger? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Well, the man this officer murdered really the victim was. He's got a point. Well, no, he clearly wasn't. We already established that. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir. Take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me just this morning, sir. The chief? Delivered it? What is that? A videotape? Yes, sir, that's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. Oh, God, here we go. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Do we have to? Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using the word murder, sir. It scares me. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? Here we go. It's going to haunt your nightmares. Oh, it's the Blue Badger. He's terrifying. His eyes stare into your soul. Glove. Oh. He didn't get the knife off of him. He lied. Bruv. Look at this cloth hanging out the locker there. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What? What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? That is the Blue Badger. Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire criminal affairs department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. And I hope you enjoyed that video, sir, because we're going to be watching it a lot more, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Security video added to the court record. Yes, well, anyway. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter, someone in the evidence room and sort of, actively... Oh, Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage... Incompetent footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that alright with you, Officer Meekins? No, there's some things in that video. And I know we have to watch it like a million times. As you wish, sir. Mystery Man. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker which required Detective Goodman's fingerprints to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. So that would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Apparently, yeah. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where the cross-examination will leave, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Wait, can I watch the tape back? There's likely a hint in there about... Can I fast forward it? It will not let me fast forward it. The light's on. The locker's already open. And there is definitely not a piece of cloth sticking out of that one there. So the light's already on, so the locker is already unlocked. Which means anyone could have opened it. His face can't be seen in the video. Okay, just press everything so don't... Tell me, were you able to get a good look at him? At the face of the man who attacked you with a knife? Bear in mind, he also wouldn't show you his ID, and... So you don't know that it was him. You're basing that on the fact that he opened the locker. But... the locker was already unlocked, so take that out of it, and you don't know it was him. So if you must label people as having seen or not seen the man's face, I believe I would be classified as the latter? You didn't see his face. The latter, but you were standing right in front of him, were you not? More to the point, you're the person who fought him, aren't you? Oh yes, sir, but I didn't get a clear look at his face, sir. I'm not the kind of guy who looks directly at people when talking with them, you know. You see, oh, I see, yeah, eye contact's hard, bro. Okay. I used to walk around and stare at the ground. My friends used to take the piss out of me because I had like such a collection of pennies and shit that I'd picked up off the ground because literally my eyes were glued to the floor as I walked around. So I was constantly finding like, especially at school, for some reason people just like, they'll go and buy their lunch or something and then they're like, well, here's 10p that, you know, I got for change. I don't need this. And then they throw it and I'm just collecting coins in the cafeteria at school. But hey, that shit added up so I could buy a fucking muffin or a cookie or a cake or something, or maybe even a milkshake. Yeah, that's a good trait for a police officer. Still, I'm sure it was him. I'd bet my badge on it. Ooh, you don't seem to have a badge. Where is your badge? That's the thing, you don't have a badge. Does Gumshoe? But there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman. I guess maybe if I present the videotape on the... That's the only way you could have opened the locker? But you don't know that for sure, do you? You never actually saw Detective Goodman's face. Well, I suppose you might say that. That is... Oh my god, there's cats fighting outside my door. Thank you. That is if you must label people as having seen or not seen it. I'm part of the latter. Since his face can't be identified in the video, only you can verify it. Ooh, that's bad. Why is everyone looking at me? If I had to label your stares as disturbing or... Meekins! Yeah. Having been shown a questionable video at best, we are not in the best of moods. Now please be more certain when you testify. Yes, sir. Woo! You claim the man who brandished a knife on you was Bruce Goodman. Tell us why you are positive it was him. I mean, he opened the locker which required Detective Goodman's fingerprints to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker. Okay, I'm gonna try this. I don't know why I bother saving when I never load if I get it wrong anyway. Can I present? Hey! Regarding the video contained on this tape, let's watch it again, shall we? There is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that anyone could have opened the locker. The man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? It does. Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. Easy peasy. That'd be easy peasy lemon squeezy. He would want me to point it out. Well, yeah, what, you're just going to throw the video at someone and be like, here, figure it out yourself. If you say there's a contradiction in there, of course you have to back it up by going, this is what it is. Dumbass. Very well, proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. Oh, and I'll play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video. This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright! It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Oh, thank fuck for that. I'm hoping if I notice all the weird things in the video, like, now, if I can point them at and spot them, then I won't have to watch the video as much. Because that's one thing, like, that I think that's like an inside joke with people that have played this game, that the blue badger haunts your nightmares and you have to watch that video so many times that you just... Yeah, so I'm glad I can at least, like, fast forward, rewind, and pause. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. Please don't play it too many times, so I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man may not be Detective Goodman? Oh, okay. That. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins? Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. Oh, the music. Why the music? When you grab the handle, the sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, it opens. The light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. Oh, here we go again. Look. Wait, are you gonna make me watch the whole fucking thing? Oh, good God. I'm terrified. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker... Let's rewind it to a little earlier, for fuck's sake. I can't speed this up. Here, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. I knew when they were really pointing out the fact that when you unlock it, the light lights up. It lights up when you unlock it. I knew there's a reason for that. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The lock was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Oh. Order, order, what is the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered. And the locker is automatically locked, so something was trapped in the sensor. Oh, I know, it must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Also, if it broke down, I think all the other lockers wouldn't be working either. Oh well, just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the system sensor. Something jammed the sensor? Say, there's something else that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's got to be another clue somewhere in this footage. Oh, the glove. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked, Mr. Wright. Please point out the cause for this. That? Oops. There was a glove caught. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. God damn it, why do we have to watch the video still? Why can't we just watch it from the bit that we watched it from before? What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when I open my car door. I don't know why that was so funny to me. It doesn't fucking park it. He just leaves it going and tuck and roll out the fucking car. And he rolls great distances as well. God damn it. That shouldn't be so funny. We can't be sure that the item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? Oh. Okay, Judge. And here's the video again, but without the terrifying music. I hate this. I hate this video. This is what I mean. The white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Then how do you roll great distances? Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator, like rubber. Yes, an insulator, but at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But, sir, by insulator you don't mean... I think I finally got this figured out. I have a basic understanding of science. Rubber is an insulator. Very well, will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door? It's also thin as fuck. Boom! I found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that it was in the victim's locker. Yes, we can, because we can see it falling. It also says SL9, and that was apparently his case or something. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. Oh. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamps attest to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened the locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? So it would appear so, sir. Can he go away already? I'm tired. I'm really tired of him. Yeah, order. And shit. So are we to believe then that the victim whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room is not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? Ah, I skipped that. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir? Me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. You're dumb. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? I'm beginning to think it is, yes. Very well, begin your testimony. Mystery Man 2. There's one other thing that proves that the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. Yes, someone could have stolen it. When an ID card is used, there is a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Yes, someone could steal it. An ID card record, I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. So do I. Who's 777777? We've not figured that out yet. The ID was used at 5:14. Is that of the victim? Just before the crime, Yes, this, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? Yeah, I thought that was weird. This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Oh? Special cases? Extremely violent cases, including police stuff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference because I got some Sonic the Hedgehog hair, bro. There are only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now, let us move on to the cross-examination. Okay, so we have to find a way that... well, something that explains... I mean, it could have been stolen. That's the thing. Just because it was used doesn't mean... he used it. It could have been lost, stolen. Bloody handprint left in evidence. Fingerprint has been wiped. Aha! You did lose something. Interesting. Where do I present it? Here? Yes. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here, which means I could get in there. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. No. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. Wait. Although that could have been dropped there later. Okay, I was going to say, it takes half an hour though, so how could it have gotten from one place to the other in such a quick time? But I guess it could have been dropped there later, and that's why the police hadn't picked it up. The underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report? It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess, you believe this something is to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Yep, more order. So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. Oh shit, have I fucked my client again? At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? Really, you don't see it? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also a fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Well, seems you've finally realised exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means the murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot, at the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. I would not call her a trustworthy witness. Uh-oh. I done fucked up again. This is the second time I've done this. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? Or where did this person disappear to? However, his trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something or else Lana... What do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Object? Why would I not object? Given an option, I will always object. 1 moment, Your Honor. Well now, Mr. Wright. Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. No, of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Oh, we're not done with this security video yet, by the way. You could just crawl along the floor. That would help you not be seen by the camera. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder at the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. Can we not test the blood? The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor? If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We've not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. Were there any other witnesses? This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Oh! Mr. Wright, do you mean... Again, she's reading my mind again. Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh? Whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name? This guy. He's 33. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. Hey, Lana. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you've figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana? You're the one who knows everything. Emma? You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Oh dear. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, Gumshoe. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Ooh. Sorry, detective. You better be, pal. Hey. What? I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh, you mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? Does that sound like anything Nick would ever say? Could I bother you? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the Chief Prosecutor, were a witness in that case. Miss Skye was a witness? Good dog. Take it from me. You don't want anything to do with serial murders. Okay. Oh, what? Now that I've brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma? But why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No. No, Lana. It's over with. No! Emma, wait! She ran away. Wait, so she had something to do with that, and this whole time she's just been la-di-da-di-da, no fucking clue. It was only 2 years ago. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out here. Jake Marshall, Angel Star, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you, you might just be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trail, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. Okay. To be continued. Trial latter. Okay, so we're on the second half of this trial. So this doesn't seem like a long trial this day. Let me have a look at this thing now. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Let me have a look. Incident number SL9, closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentence death. Victims, Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Interesting. Head prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses, Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Investigation Task Force. Executive investigators, Damon Gant, Lana Skye. Head investigator, Bruce Goodman. Investigators, Jake Marshall, Angel Star. Yeah, everyone is fucking related, aren't they? The Marshall. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Oh, great. More cowboy metaphors that I just can't understand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. I just got it. For fuck's sake. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Jesus Christ. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Yes, please. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. Really? I hope you weren't really at a fucking saloon, because drinking on the job is probably something to get you fired, bruv. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. Can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Oh, wait a minute. What did you mean by 2 security systems? I'm guessing the ID card lock and the fingerprint lock. I mean, the security cameras and the ID card reader. Oh yeah, and the security cameras. Oh, the room is protected. Okay. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated lock? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? Oh, he doesn't know about them. He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weakness, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. I guess I'll press. How exactly do you keep an eye on the evidence room? Probably looking at security cameras and checking the people that come through. I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. I still think that's a bit too frequently. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy's a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So, in actuality, you don't physically enter the room. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. That's just not how that works, dude. You do what you're told. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. You should have been fired a long time ago. No desperados I know joined the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner, I can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides security systems anyway. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course, back in the day my locker was a goldmine of evidence. Yeah, the fingerprint lockers are probably new. And yet you don't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite, incredible. The sensors on the locker handles can't be seen. Okay, maybe he just didn't know then. He never wondered. Isn't it? Surely everyone can open these lockers, right? It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? Drinking on the job. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Okay. Eating spaghetti? I really feel like that was originally noodles, and then they were like, Western people won't understand, make it spaghetti. Not even angel steak lunches can beat that parlor's vongole sepia pasta. Vongole sepia. I am assuming Italian, so I'm saying vongole. Sepia pasta. I have no idea what. Do you mean to tell us you abandon your police duties to eat some noodles? Pasta and noodles aren't the same thing. The game can't figure itself out. Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want to race this year?" Out of ammo, Officer Marshall. Oh, he says he didn't set foot in there. Do I present the fingerprint? Although that could have been put there at any point. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset. Huh. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that, but you're not from Texas. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I'd better up the ante. Wait, so I'm not supposed to use it yet? So what am I supposed to use? Here? Yeah. Okay, I am supposed to use it there. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. That's some real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. Fucking hell. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. Yes. They're not bloody. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your bloodstained fingerprints with the crime scene? The blood was wiped away, however. However, a luminal test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the bloodstained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be in the same place as the bloodstained handprint. Matching up perfectly? The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? I'm sorry, what? See, I had nothing to do with it. How did you know the murderer was wearing gloves? The witness's explanation appears valid, does it? Although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be very fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. I really want to... Now's my chance to prove it. I just want to fucking find out what the hell he's... Didn't you know they were wearing gloves? Yeah, the murderer in the other crime was wearing gloves. Press. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. I can't let him squirm out of this one. I've got to find something. Something decisive to tie Officer Marshall to this crime. Okay. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month. Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. Oh, you just done fucked up, dude. You just done fucked up. What? What do you mean? That lock is the one that has the cloth sticking out of it. Oh, he opened it, dumbass. I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? The seal of blood. In the desert is just food for buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape? Oh yeah, that's gonna be your undoing, mate. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. But it is. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully what you're going to do with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in that video. Oh, it was the... Fuck's sake. I got too cocky. Should I press him on that? Let's press him then. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. God dang it, here's that video again. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. But he didn't, because look. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. I can! Here we go. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. That. Bringing our attention back to the security camera again. Is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. You're not from Texas. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. That's exactly 8 words. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. Oh, for fuck's sake. It doesn't even speed it up or anything. It just... ugh. The locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Like, I'm glad it didn't that time, but I'm surprised it didn't start from the beginning of the video and make me watch the whole thing to that point again. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. And not let Amy skip because, you know, fuck you, I guess. Oh, the white cloth, it's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order, it seems... Okay, hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That don't mean I'm the one who opened it. Are you fucking an idiot? Have you not been listening? The murderer needed to hide something, so we opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Even the judge is like, come the fuck on. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. Yeah, and we've already mentioned this. People don't know about it. So, Sheriff? What do you have to say in 8 words or less? Nom 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 nom. I only got 1 word for you, partner. Hey, that was 8 as well. No. No. Order. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst joke I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Ole, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. He crawled? Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? I mean, that? Oh, I thought, okay, I got a bit confused there. I was like, what do you, oh, we weren't assuming he was the killer. We were assuming he was in the room with them. Officer Marshall was standing right here. So Officer Meekins didn't notice him standing there? That's almost as credible as Meekins' warp theory. Your chambers are empty, partner. Better reload. Wait, what? Now they're ganging up on me. Perhaps you should think a little more about where Officer Marshall was. Did I press the wrong person? Oh, he was the victim! Ah, that was my bad. That was my bad. He's the victim, not the killer. Officer Marshall was standing right here. I'm dumb. He was pretending to be the other guy. Okay. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman, which we've already established he wasn't. I believe the victim in this video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it, because the picture wouldn't match the way he looked. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed this, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realised the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. We've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it? You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I can't... You already said this, dude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? No. No, I don't. Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. Ugh, this can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? Edgeworth, help me. Huh. It looks like your lack of expertise has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Okay, how do I think outside of the box? I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. I should look for proof that it wasn't him. But rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open this locker at the time of the crime unless he's hiding something in there. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it has been, because he didn't know about the fingerprint locks. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. Why don't we look in his locker? The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence that this video is my only shot. Oh god, no, I don't know. Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Blood? Oh. Because of that? For some reason you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. Yet. However, something unexpected happened. He fought back. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not a bad partner. Why don't we just go check the locker? That would... Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. What? What did I do? 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright. It seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Why don't you test the blood? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident is not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room and stealing the evidence? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? I'm guessing because his brother died. He was a victim. But it was my last chance. That's why I stole the detective's ID. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence about all I'd be arrested. Evidence. Anyway. So you did it to fool us prisoner. And the detective's ID card. I stole that the morning of the incident. That really was why Detective. That's why Goodman started playing out. I returned his ID card. Left it on the floor of the prosecutor's office parking lot later. ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean? I mean, fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can remove them. It's fucking chemicals, blood. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to. And you could because the rubber glove just so happened to get stuck in the floor. Wasn't expecting Officer. Pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Let's just say I was a little surprised. And we planned on being in the evidence room for more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually. Certainly is one in a million type of person. Mistaken a detective for an intruder into managing his ID. I have to think a little more about his reasons here. Anyway, he threw himself on me and I sorry, it had to turn out that way. By the way, what happened with your oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. Oh, I'm not so you knocked off his sneakers out and what a fucking nice hold it! So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference though. The security team was raced every 6 hours. All had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, your DJ proposing struggled with not speaking. Someone was next to me when I came out, which would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. Stop speaking to the wind. What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any better in the blood found at the crime scene clearly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing. Judge Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer, this is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. The salary never. Like I said, this isn't the case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. This has an unusual amount of zeal. Some more. Hold it! That case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence is stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. And I can finish prison deserves a sentence. Remember the Joe Dark case. False theory on that. I don't think that something went down. What happened? Is he so concerned about it? Maybe I should present what I think is real reason. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case.
Objection!
Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. Why would you... He was a victim of the case. Surely you... That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. A group of detectives I was part of worked. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Fine. Very dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left me with any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned, prosecuted, and the case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. That's it. That's your reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what people say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with his reflection officer the evidence. Disguising himself as a detective, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he reigned just and fled. This mystery has finally been cleared up. The murder took place at the police department that day. Things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which, in turn, means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Scott.
Objection!
But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Objection!
Which is why we examine the incident department today. But there's only one reason for the verdict was yesterday. There yet remains a mysterious It seems to me this boy's got to draw on his heart. All of the mysteries at the police department have been solved, no doubt about it. No, our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect we found is murder, and we're all up with it. And the testimony of one Angel Star is completely incomplete. If you have a response, it's word or less. Objection? No! Ah! I rest my case. Right, objection. Since this trial has reached its conclusion, there's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Proving the alleged murder of the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the surveillance camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realise I would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, time for the verdict and the prize. Time to defend it. Miss Emma! Your Honor, wait. Emma? The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright? Oh god, that's the word right too many times. Are you this girl's guardian? I suppose right now, yes. Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. Please? I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Oh, good guy Edgeworth. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? Yes. It appears the defense is troubled by the other, blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I'm assuming I have to object. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Oh, my batteries are that great. Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of that the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Oh, the blue badger! What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger, the mascot of the police force. Oh, he was in the way, so the handprint wouldn't have been able to be put there because The badger was there. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Stop with the fucking rhyming. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Yeah. Well, what? Gasp. That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. Weird. So it has to have been, I'm guessing, before. So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma? On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. Well, not impossible. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. How did no one notice it there? How did he not notice it when he was moving the thing in there? Like, holy shit, a bloody handprint. Like, what? Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. Why? Why is that far-fetched? It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand from which a trivial amount of blood fell. I don't understand. I think that the blue badger is moving just enough that you can actually see where the blood stain would have been. So I think you should have been able to see it with the blue badger there. And we can't see it on the tape. So that's annoying. Problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? Well, before the blue badger was put in there. But hold on, what's the time of death on the autopsy? It says 5:15, doesn't it? No. Died within an hour and a half of 4 p.m. Does that mean like it can be an hour and a half before as well? So it can be 2:30 as well? As 5:30? No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the list of evidence from people. There we go. So, I'm guessing we're going to find out who 77777777777 is. 420. I'm guessing. When did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? Is that the evidence I need to present? To summarise the defence's claims, that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on this locker proves that. Very well. Then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Okay, when? That would be, yeah. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Yeah, it has to be that. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh, the ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the blue badger into the evidence room at 4:50, so that means it's 77777, or it's Edgeworth again. Let's see here, 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40. Miles Edgeworth. Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Huh, nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. But 20 minutes? That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Yeah, but those are only the people who entered after 4 PM. What about before 4 PM? Let's look at the chart again. We've already established people were in there earlier. There's only one other card number remaining. 777777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Well, with the person. Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Okie dokie. Find out whose ID number is 777777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. Why? This is a murder case. Why does that apply? But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you, to her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 777777777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. I hadn't thought about that. All I wanted to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Oh. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. We were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Uh-oh. Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. Oh. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. Oh. Oh, the judge is very surprised. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! He did present false evidence! Oh no, 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 no. Lana's remark caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Damn, Edgeworth, bless him. Everyone was like, you forged evidence. And he was like, no, I did not. And I was like, he probably did, but he genuinely thought he didn't. I'm just going to play the next investigation long enough to actually get the last lunchbox for that damn achievement. If I can get it quickly. And then I'm going to fucking stop. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Oh, for fuck's sake. We literally just had her say it. I didn't know. I never knew the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Seems like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. But what did you have to do with those killings, Emma? Were you the evidence? Were you a witness? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? He tried to kill you? Who? You? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. So that means you... Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of the year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then, suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall, so you weren't able to testify about that. No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must have been why she made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. Was that not clear? He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumours about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did, especially not to Emma. What did you see in the instant the crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma, you've been through so much. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that instant. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago, you must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I wanted to be able to fight crime with my testimonies and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor. Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course. This happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? Well, clearly not at the time. No, silly, didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. Where? That's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, She was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? I'd better have another talk with her. Can I go to... The lunchbox says no one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that on the day of the crime, no one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. Yes, but your argument was that someone was murdered that earlier. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead, it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Yeah, it said that you go to the prosecutor's office. After you're done talking with Edgeworth, you go back there and you get the last lunchbox. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Oh, great. Of course he's not. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee? He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll just have to come back later. Great. Lana. Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago. And how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details? Especially about the unusual change of jobs. I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. It couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said about you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true, I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant, he was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help with the SL9 case was crucial to its resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of those 2 years ago. I don't want to, though. I just want the last lunchbox. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yes. Deputy Chief Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Damon Gant and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let their guard down and then fled the room. From there he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filling some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. Filing. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seemed Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? Probably ran to her sister. To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her. After all, her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, huh? I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies by himself. The Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Oh god. Please tell me I can go here now. Ah, no, I've got to go, okay. Howdy, Bambino. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Why aren't you under arrest? Que sera, sera. You never know where life will lead you, hey, Bambino? I should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. What? Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Probably, surely to jail. Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why did prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I needed to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. I'm hungry. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence we found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Dark's, alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? That he was stabbed with something else by the sounds of it, and then that was just put in there. It means there's a good chance that knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibility had been erased. And the facts have been concealed with forged evidence. That case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he, your brother? He was 27 at the time. Woo, that's how old I am. That's probably the oldest fucking... Like, I know there's people in their 30s and stuff like that, but everyone around Nick's age is like early 20s, and I always feel old. But this guy was 27. He was the same age as me, and he's dead. That's my drink. He was awarded the highest honour that day, that very day. The highest honour? You mean the king of prosecutors. I knew it. Why are you looking at me like that for? That's an honour for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place, there wasn't the same day as... That's right, it was the day of the evidence transferal. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning, and by nightfall there was thunder. I can't believe 2 years have gone by already. I tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. But that's the point, that knife, which was evidence, was found at with the body. So does that mean he already took the evidence out? There was something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Miss Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to be too obvious. They. Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gann and Lana Skye. The investigation lead, Damon Gann, and his second-in-command, Lana Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gann, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her says so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambina, but her secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Oh great, my battery's low again. Lana's secret. It all started 2 years ago. I'm gonna have to stop here. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, Pon? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict, but someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gunn. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I won't even be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambino. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave that there because my controller's gonna die. Joy.